Hello everybody, SirMonkeySuit Zappy here, back again with My Hero Academia. We're on episode 24. Yeah, so this video is coming out a bit later than usual. Attack on Titan's the same. Attack on Titan will be out just after this video, so look forward to that if you're here for like immediately. So yeah, the back end of last week and over the weekend I had to look after my cousin's dog. I was obviously without my cousin, so I didn't have access to my PC. I couldn't make videos. So yeah, there has been like a lapse of videos that have been put on hiatus, but we're back to it now, so everything should be back on schedule. But yeah, right now we're on episode 24 of My Hero, so there's only this and next episode left, and that's it for season 3. Fuck, it's going to be the first time that I've had this since I started doing this reaction thing. It's going to be the first time that I've been without My Hero on the channel, because obviously I started with My Hero and finished season 2 just before season 3 started. So yeah, it's going to be a weird time not having My Hero here, because it's sort of like the what I feel like is like sort of like the pinnacle of it. You know what I mean? Like that is like what my whole thing was based off of, was My Hero. So yeah, it's going to be weird for sure, but you know, it's alright, because we'll be back around for season 4, so it'll happen. It'll be alright. Okay, so last episode, fucking phenomenal, great, such a fucking great episode. You know, it was obviously fucking featuring my boy Bakugo, and Deku and their second fight, and just looking at the difference, like the sheer difference between the first their first match that they had in season 1 to now, just the up in production value, like it's crazy. It's so good. Like, I've watched episode 23 like 5 times now, and that animation is so fucking, it's so crisp, like it's so nice. I love it. I didn't even point out, if nobody's aware, I'm pretty sure I've never really talked about this before, but one of my biggest idols, you know, that I look up to, like as sort of like a male role model, is Bruce Lee, and Bakugo definitely has that sort of like Bruce Lee sort of costume going on. You know what I mean, with the sort of the tight, pretty like high up leg. The pant legs don't really go to the very bottom, and he's got those like sort of like slip on sort of shoes or slippers, and the tank top. It's a very Bruce Lee look. So the fact that Bakugo is wearing that, that's nice. I like that little touch. But yeah, that whole last episode was a phenomenal one. That's where Bakugo's emotions truly came out, and I think this was a turning point for a lot of people. This was a sort of a milestone. I think there's been certain points throughout the series where Bakugo has not necessarily turned the hearts of people, but some people have had like sort of a minute different perspective looking at Bakugo throughout the series, and I think this specific point, while it obviously hasn't turned everyone, Bakugo's always going to have that sort of stigma with his character that some people just aren't going to like. But I think this was the episode where a lot of people actually turned their sort of their mind around and like took Bakugo as the character that I knew he was from like episode 8. Everything that I said Bakugo was pretty much proven in that last episode, and everything like you know, he has me like tooting my own horn and blowing my own bubble, shoving smoke up my ass, but you know, like it's nice to have that sort of cemented, because I like to think that, you know, I had a good idea of what Bakugo was, with the little nuances that I felt, you know, the show didn't drive home, but they sort of like, you know, they laid it out in the show, and you can pick up on certain things, and I thought that, you know, from these little things that I got, that I kind of had a grasp on what Bakugo's character was. And you know, if you go back through the the post discussions and everything. It's a long, you know, it would be a long fucking time like watching through all the post discussions and stuff. But I mentioned a lot of stuff with Bakugo that has basically been cemented from last episode. So it's nice to have that sort of, you know, that sort of, I keep saying cemented because I know there's another word for it. I just can't remember it. I'm just terrible with words. My fucking vocab's terrible. But yeah, I absolutely loved last episode. You know, and not just in regards to Bakugo, because obviously, you know what I mean, I put him to the forefront because he is my favorite character. So he'll always, you know, if it's between him and like other characters, like I'm always going to put him to the forefront because he's my favorite character. But yeah, I feel like I maybe slacked a little on Deku last episode. And the quintessential thing that I failed to mention, because obviously last episode I wasn't writing anything down, like you know, so this was something I would have written down because I remember him saying it when I was reacting to it, but I didn't pick up on it, and that I didn't talk about it afterwards, was the fact that Deku, like, actually, you know, he takes away, like, if it comes down to him in a sort of fight, he goes into that winning mentality that Bakugo has, and you know, he said obviously that he's not one to admit this, but that he actually puts aside that sort of Deku mentality of saving someone for the fact of winning, and that is great. That is something I didn't expect. That is when, you know, that is something so huge, I think, to a character like Deku, who's you know, predominantly through and through the quintessential hero. He's like the Captain America of the show, you know, someone who through and through is what you would consider like the ideal hero. And for Deku to actually, you know, and this is from his, this is his character saying this, that for, you know, maybe not even just split-second moments, but for just moments when he is fully enveloped in this sort of, this, like, a battle or anything like that, that he completely forgets about maybe what the main goal is, if it was to save somebody, that just in that moment it's a winning mentality that he's developed, possibly entirely from Bakugo because of his winning mentality. And it goes back to episode 24 of season 2, which was my previous like favorite episode, again because it's Bakugo and whatnot. But I mentioned in that episode, in the post discussion, that, you know, Deku wasn't only looking up to All Might, he was also looking up to Bakugo, and Bakugo was also just as much of a as sort of like a role model to him as All Might was, just in like in a different way. And you know, that right there is also cemented. The fact that Deku looked up to Bakugo, like, so much of the fact that he's actually taken on a lot of like his personality traits, so it's just not as garish. So, you know, for that, especially for like a main character like Deku, to actually have that sort of, and I would say like it's so almost like a flaw of his character. I mean, it's tough because it's not really a full-on flaw. Like the ability, like to want to win, to go above and beat somebody, is something that All Might obviously, you know, instilled in them in the last episode. That, you know, that is part of, you know, being a hero. You know what I mean? That is part of being it. So, you know, it has its place, but it was really that was really cool, and I enjoyed that. So yeah, I think I've rambled on enough anyway. Yeah, I could talk about this kind of stuff for just ages and just circle and fucking repeat, but there's no point is that. So yeah, we're just gonna get in episode 24 and see where we go. So without further ado, let's go. Okay, alright, I'm not curtain over because fucking sorry about that light if it was annoying anybody. Like, it was annoying me as well when the sun fucking glares in. It's great, isn't it? Like, you know, I moved my fucking computer from over there because the sun was, you know, in an annoying place, and it still fucking haunts me this very day. Ridiculous. Anyway, so the big three. All right, cool. I'm happy we're getting some, like, because it's been just first years, the whole show, and I was wondering, are we actually going to get like any? Are we actually going to meet any like students that are in like the like third years? Because, you know, as you'd imagine, as fucking, you know, as great as Deku and Bakugo and Shoto are, you've got to have third years that are like next level, because you know they've obviously been at the school much longer. They're way further in their training. You know, they've got to be some pretty skilled students, and clearly they are, because those three are the top of the school. Big threes, they're known third years. Well, all right. So we've got one that's sort of like he's kind of an All Might kind of. I mean, I don't know if he's doing it on purpose, like if he's kind of going for the All Might look, or what. But the fucking the face, the eyes. he looks like fucking Tintin. He's like, if I will be gobsmacked if like Tintin was not the inspiration for the look of that character, because that is like I see Tintin. That is going to be a tough one for me to separate that, because oh, those eyes, man. And also the one that's just clearly just Sasuke, right? And then the girl who is the only one out of the three that I look at, and it's like, right, yeah, it's original design. I haven't seen anyone that looks like that. So yeah, Tintin. We'll go with Tintin, fucking, and Sasuke number 2. We'll go for that until we get their names. So yeah, I'm wondering, because there was a whole conversation with. There was the conversation with All Might before he chose Deku as his successor, about how he should come into, teach at UA, how there'll be a lot of people, a lot of students to inherit the quirk, and you know, immediately following that, it obviously cut to the back of Tintin's head. So I'm wondering if maybe that was somebody he was looking at, as a potential candidate, because I don't think we got any real confirmation as to if All Might was already looking into some people, or you know, or if Deku was the very first one. I just thought it was interesting how it lined up with him talking about that, and then it showed the back of Tintin's head. I'm wondering if that was something that, you know, he maybe was looking into him a bit. So yeah, interesting. But yeah, so what else? So yeah, Deku and Bakugo, yeah, this was something that they did explain, you know, about them like having house arrest. I didn't know like they were. Like, I didn't know they were not going to attend school. Like, that's a weird one to me, because that seems counterintuitive. Surely, like, you know, especially in the situation that they're in, right? Like, with the whole thing of you know, them wanting, we've got to get heroes sorted, and we've got to get them, you know, like as prepared as they possibly can be for the fact that like All Might is no longer there. And yet they're keeping out like two of the most the two students that, you know, arguably have the most potential in this show, and they leave them out. You know what I mean? Like, you know, obviously that's getting a bit meta. Like, obviously you're not gonna have Aizawa go, oh, we can't keep them out because they've got the most potential in the show. Like, obviously you can't, because that's stupid. It's meta, but you know, it's just. I feel like, in the situation that they're in, I feel like it is very counterintuitive for them to not have them attend class. You know what I mean? I don't... That's a weird one. But yeah. Work studies, we've got a thing coming up, which is not quite internships, although it kind of seems like it is. Like, it's internships, but like at a higher level. I like, that's an interesting one, because they say it's like work studies. And then Aizawa mentioned, oh, but it's like more real. Like, it's like... Which is interesting, like... I guess that is probably more in line towards, well, because an internship isn't supposed to be what happened with Deku, Shoto, and Ida. Like it's supposed to be more or less along the lines of, I don't know, what Ochako was doing. Whereas the work studies is probably a bit more like what Deku, Shoto, and Ida were doing. A bit more real work. So yeah. We got a. I mean, it's not really a new look because we have seen like Class 1B. And the characters like they've popped up from time to time, and obviously I do recognise the girl who her name is Pony. I didn't catch her other name, but her name's Pony. Her quirk's called Head Cannon. I'm not sure what that quirk would entail, but Nato, the guy, because she's an exchange student, Nato's been telling her to say some stuff that obviously she doesn't fully understand. the guy's a dick. Such a dick. But he does hold like a spot on the show that like nobody else has. You know what I mean? Like he's completely like in a like he's in a sort of a zone of his own. You know, it's fucking Nato one. Yeah. And yeah, so finally the whole Twice thing. I love this. This is something that I was not expecting coming into this episode, because, I mean, Twice is... He's not really like he wasn't a main contender like in the Vanguard Action Squad, or the League of Villains as a whole. He's sort of a background character, but he obviously stuck out because obviously the way that his character is. But the fact that, for a character that was more in the background, obviously wasn't as, upfront as Darby or Toga was, or, Muscular. And they've taken him and given him backstory, which I like. When you develop this is something that I don't even need to explain, but when you develop characters on either side, that gives you a hell of a lot more to work with when shit finally hits the fan, and it's something that when it comes to villains, giving them reasons as to why they do the things they do makes that makes the story so much more fulfilling. Like, giving every single character a reason as to why they do the things they do, and not just because, I want to cause fucking chaos and I want to cause, I think when it comes to, when I'm looking at Twice now, yeah, how even though the Muscular fight with Deku was, one of the greatest moments in the show, Muscular's whole, ideology wasn't, it wasn't exactly interesting. It was just, I just want to do it because I want to do it, and it's not, so, if you put a backstory with Muscular when that whole fight went down and you kind of lead up to it, I get that it was more of a support, like some sort of like, it's more of a surprise attack because it was the Vanguard Action Squad. It kind of just jumped on them, so they had to deal with it. So obviously you wouldn't have time to, get that in there and sort of lead up to it. But hypothetically, if you have a backstory of Muscular and why he does the things that he does, and then have the fight, that fight automatically becomes much more impactful. And I think the fact that we're actually getting a backstory here, and for Twice of all people, this is something great, because I think this highlights something which I didn't even think of, and I don't know why I didn't think of it, because it's so fucking obvious. Like, his quirk is not the fact that he has two personalities. The quirk is the fact that he can clone. And he can clone more than I thought. Like, he could only clone once. Now, we never really got an explanation as to how the clone works, if it has a mind of its own, which clearly it does, as it was revealed here. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe, and I think it is this way because I think this is what makes sense, is that his quirk, when he obviously made all these clones to do all the work for him, and then obviously they come back and attacked him, because of all that sort of mental trauma that he went through with that, that is what caused him to end up with a split personality, like a split personality disorder, and also be like a schizophrenic. And that is something that I can't believe I never talked about, like, because, and you know what I think it is. I think this is brilliant, by the way, because I think going into this character, everyone's immediate reaction was, "Oh, Deadpool." Mine was exactly the same. You know, and that's because obviously Deadpool right now is obviously the height of fucking, like, you know, it's at its peak. Like the popularity of Deadpool is at its peak. So obviously it's, you know, it's fresh in people's minds. You know, Deadpool 2 would just come out, and that was people's initial reaction to what this character was. And I think it's sort of, I'm not sure if this was done on purpose, but I feel like it was perfect, because now the surprise of you getting a backstory on Twice sort of is a big shock, and it's a good way, at least for me. Like I think having this story, having that, like, sort of that backstory on Twice is so great. There's something so great about that. But yeah, I mean, I think the fact that, because obviously it was so ingrained in people's heads about, like, what Deadpool is, the inspiration for the character, I feel, obviously does come from Deadpool. I think there's obviously a lot of inspiration from Deadpool there. But what I think they've done with him is they've made this character a lot more fleshed out. Like, it's not just a Deadpool parody. It's not just, you know, it's not just comic relief for the villain side. And they've actually put something that is, I mean, this is great, because it's a character that is unlike any other on the show. You know, so you've got that sort of variety there, and also, like, not even involved in the story, that having that character there also highlights, like, the issues of, like, split personality disorder and schizophrenia, like, in real life. You know, and puts that, like, sort of out there for the world to see. You know what I mean? And brings attention to it, which is obviously a good thing. You know, because that's a very real thing. People have that issue, and I love the fact that, like, that's what he deals with. And I believe, now correct me if I'm wrong, I believe this was the reason why Twice joined up with the League of Villains, because they accept him for who he is, with obviously the fact that he has mental issues and whatnot, that he goes back and forth. The League of Villains are the people that accept him, so therefore that's who he decides to initially go with. So obviously it comes and goes. It seems to be kind of always there, but it sort of spurs and, like, sort of and grows and gets to a point where it gets really bad. And interestingly enough, the suit, the words they use were, it keeps him whole. Now I think there's a lot of power, I think, in sort of the mental, is aptitude the right word? The mental aptitude of this character, I think, because that's what obviously it revolves, like, obviously the whole mental game is what revolves around this character, and I think that's what makes this character interesting. And I think the suit itself, it's not, I don't think it's obviously something that, like, you know, physically helps him with it. I think the fact that he feels at ease when he puts on the suit. Maybe it's something with, like, you know, obviously he feels less vulnerable, like, obviously, you know, with his face showing all of this kind of you know, schizophrenia stuff happening. He obviously has a sort of a fear of what people might think of him. You know, obviously that's clear with the fact that obviously he likes the League of Villains because they accept him for who he is, therefore he feels comfortable around them. but he obviously has a fear of people thinking, what people might think about him. And I think having the mask on and the suit as a whole kind of puts him almost in a sort of safety blanket. You know, but I like the fact that obviously, like, he's got this sort of scar here, which it highlights a lot of the time. Another, like, sort of a physical sort of like reminder of obviously split into two kind of thing. And obviously, you know, it's another thing with putting on the mask. It keeps these, almost like it keeps them from splitting in two, you know, because the suit is obviously a whole. But I think obviously the fact that he puts on the mask and that keeps him whole, I think, you know, while it's obviously the physical representation, I think more, you know, I think it's more about him sort of hiding that fact from the rest of the world, you know. So I think it's more of a mental game with Twice, and I really like that. That was the last, like, that was never in my mind at all. And I can't believe I didn't pick up on it at first. I didn't even look into it because in my head I'm just like, oh yeah, it's a Deadpool character, sweet, you know what I mean? And because it's like Deadpool, it's like it's like, oh right, he's the comic relief character. But I mean, because I big up the sort of the characters on this show and how the characters are the driving force of this show, and how the show is so good because of the characters, and how multi-layered they are, and how there's so much more to them than meets the eye. There's so much, you know, there's so much fucking there's so much oomph there in the characters. And for some reason, I kind of just, you know, this is something I should really do. I should look at a character and think, is there more to that character? And look closer, because, you know, that is something I should have really picked up on. But I just completely disregarded Twice as any real, you know, as that ever being a possibility. But I love the fact that that's his backstory. That's really cool. I was wondering if when they had that villain bust out of the store and be a villain, I was wondering if Twice was gonna almost step up and be like, and like stop them, you know. But you know, yeah, that didn't happen. I was wondering because I was like, if this is what he's gonna do, is that something where, like, you know, because I would love a character. This was something I had an idea for. Oh, I had an idea, like, yeah, because I come up with it. You know, what I thought would be cool is if you have a character like Twice, you have a real good opportunity to do something where you have a split personality disorder. You have the one that is, you know, wanting to do good, the one that is wanting to do bad. And it could be classed as like almost like a common trope. But, you know, you have a real good sort of, you know, you have a good sort of template there for something that could, you know, be the case. But that, then again, would be the obvious thing to do. It's sort of like the thing of like, oh, you could have easily made Batgirl like a villain and just let him, you know, join the League of Villains or whatever. But, you know, to go a different route with it. And the other one was I had was Tokoyami, and have sort of the bird, his dark shadow, actually start doing like really bad stuff. So you have the, you know, you have the guy who wants to be a hero, but his whole quirk is sort of doing its own thing. You know, and I think when you have, like, it's just, I think that would be just such an interesting concept in the show, to have a character like that. And obviously the two characters I can think of that would work perfectly for that would be Tokoyami or Twice. But regardless, to me, Twice doesn't need that. He doesn't need the split personality. He doesn't need to be the one that wants to do good and the one to do bad. I just thought I'd bring that up because I was wondering when he saw the villain like run out of the store, I was wondering if maybe that was something that was possibly a part of his split personality. One side was like more, you know, wanting to do good than the other one, but it obviously didn't happen. But, you know, I like where that's going. And I hope we kind of get those little things like that pop up from time to time. Have little bits of, you know, the thing is the way they did it was great, because they set up, they had him obviously listen to the news, so it's kind of like him, from his perspective, how the world's changing. So it's not just doing a whole thing where it's talking about his backstory, but also it's setting the sort of scene, and it's the world building, you know, and it's doing that at the same time whilst giving twice. So, you know, it's not like, yeah, you know, if for instance, like if somebody was like, oh shit, like I wish, you know, this episode didn't have enough in it, it was too much time was spent with Twice. You know, even if you have the Twice backstory in there, the fact that you're moving the story along, whilst doing this other thing, I think is really good. It's really well written. So I like that. I think this was a really good episode. Like, I felt like this was a filled episode. Like, you know, a lot of the time when I'm watching these episodes and stuff, you know, they'll pass by and I'll be like, fuck, you know what I mean? Because I feel like, you know, you're passing through an arc, and you know, like there's always like the cliffhanger and stuff like that. Whereas this, there wasn't really a cliffhanger, and I felt like it was very much a well-rounded episode. Like, you had sort of, you know, the little bits of everything in there. And honestly, it didn't fly by for me. And I'm not saying that as like, you know, a good thing, because normally you say like, oh, time flies when you're having fun. I love watching this show, and I love this episode. I think it was a very awesomely fucking paced episode. This was, and yeah, and I love that backstory thing. So if, you know, if it comes to setting, you know, world building and just introducing the other villains and having their backstories, because I feel like when it all comes to pass again, that's the kind of thing you want. You want developed, fleshed out characters, therefore you care all that much more for the fight, you know what I mean? Like, when it comes to, because of the way Twice is, you feel for the guy now, you know, and that is something where, you know, generally more often than not, what you'll want to do is you'll want to separate the bad guys from the good guys, by drawing a line down the middle and having them, like, it's obvious who the bad guys are. You get the reasons why, you know, Shigaraki is the way that he is, but he's been nurtured and he's been molded by All For One, you know what I mean? So, you know, he sets off and doing a lot of fucking dickish things, so that even though you understand where he's coming from, he's clearly the bad guy, and the villain deserves some really bad shit to happen to him. He deserves to get, like, it's just desserts. Now, it's going to be interesting to see what they do with Twice, because I think if, you know, if this ever comes to a head, like, you know, you're looking at Twice and you're thinking, shit, you know what I mean? Like, he's just, you know, he's just fucking, he's in such a hard place because of, you know, the way that he is, because of his, like, sort of the mental issues that he does have. The place that he fit in was with villains, and that's the reason why he does it. You know, obviously, but you can't, you know, you can't sort of encourage the things that he does. Obviously, he allows all of this to happen, you know, all this bad stuff to happen. So, you know what I mean, you can't encourage that or whatnot. But it, you know, it's the having that sort of backstory there with his schizophrenic nature and his split personality, and that was the reason why he chose to go with the League of Villains. It's just nice, and I really like that. So yeah, it's great. He's now one of the villains that I'm most interested in. So that was really good, well written. Love that. Yeah, so we had, like, obviously with the world building, we had Endeavor being, you know, is Endeavor replacement for All Might and whatnot, and you know, he's sort of like showing his public image, and you know, you're on Google and it's like Endeavor, and it's like related searches, or like most things searched for, like, you know, when you type in like a word in Google, and it's like, you know, what's the most searched for things, and it's like Endeavor, and the only really positive thing that you got out of that was cool. You know, and I and that's so fucking true. I mean, when you look at the guy is he's a cool looking hero. Like, he looks cool as fuck. But everything else about him is not positive. Like, you know, you might have obviously the people out there, the people that might have been saved by him, you know, that you'll have like maybe like his cult following or whatever, but generally more often than not the majority of the searches is going to be him. You know what I mean? He's not a true hero, he's a fucking dick, he's this, he's that. So, you know, but yeah, I like the fucking the search thing. The fucking most searched whatever. Yeah, so there's multiple teams out there, multiple villain sort of squads rising up. The Reservoir Dogs. I'm guessing that is just an outright outright just Easter egg. I mean, it's barely even an Easter egg. It's so fucking on the nose. Reservoir Dogs. You're fucking joking. Great. They didn't last long though, because we have a overhaul, I think. When Twice was looking at them, I'm guessing Twice is out there recruiting for the League of Villains, and Overhaul's going to join them. I don't know what his quirk is. Like, I could not even make a guess, judging by his costume. But yeah. So yeah, interesting. And also Giran with the multiple phones thing. I'm wondering if that obviously it's the idea sort of that he's obviously someone with connections, and the fact that possibly it's doubling down on the fact that he has multiple phones, so he can't be sort of, you know, maybe traced. I don't know, something like that. But yeah, interesting. And yeah, and then that's all. So yeah, fucking really cool episode. I enjoyed that a lot. Clearly by the amount of time I've spent talking, we are coming up at an hour now. You know, I really liked that episode. It was a very nice one. So yeah, that is all. So thank you everybody for watching. In the links in the description below, I've you know, got some places you can go. One of them is the Discord. I urge everyone to go over there, especially if you want me to react to a certain show, because that's where polls and things start. So, you know, if you're wanting to get your show on a specific poll for me to possibly react to in the future, that's where you want to go. Also, if you just want to come over and hang out and chill with me in the community, you're free to do that as well. And Patreon. So Patreon is obviously the fucking creative website thing where, you know, I can get you know, paid for the content that I produce. You know what I mean? If you're wanting more content more frequently, then that's the place to go. Bunch of different tiers depending on how much you want to support me with. So one of them is the early access tier. That is the most popular one. It's the $5 a month. So for that you get access to obviously all episodes a week early. And not only that, but you actually get 4 episodes a week of all of the Patreon shows that I do every single week. You get 4 episodes as a site, like, as opposed to the usual 2 that the general public get every week. So the Patreon shows are Psychopath, Suzumiya Haruhi, Tokyo Ghoul, and Code Geass. All of those shows you get 4 episodes a week. So yeah, you can be like, you know, fucking, you know, way down the line of episodes before, you know, YouTube get it, the general public get it. So yeah, you get them a week early and you get extra of them. So if you're clamoring for more reactions from me more frequently, that's where you want to go. Full length, that is the $10 a month. So, you know, if you want to see my full unedited reactions to all the shows I do, the reference footage obviously isn't there, but if you have your, like, you know, if you have like a PC or a laptop you're able to open up on multiple windows and you have your own reference footage, then you can watch the whole full unedited reactions to all the shows I do. Everything I react to gets a full length. So if you want that, that's a $10 a month. $15 a month, that is the exclusive tier. So for that you get access to another show I'm doing, which is currently Parasite. That will be completely, like, that'll be exclusive to the people who are exclusive tier patrons while it's airing. Okay, so once I've finished reacting to the show, then it will go up on YouTube for the general public. Okay, but while it's airing, if you want to watch it while it's airing, right now you can do, you go over to Patreon, get a $15 exclusive tier, and you can watch that now. Also, all OVAs from all shows will go into the exclusive tier patronage, and movie reactions as well. So obviously when My Hero 2 Heroes comes out, I'll react to that, I'll put that on the exclusive tier as well. $50 a month, that's the elite tier. So for that you get a choice for show that you want me to react to, and I will react to it. It'll go to the back of the list. I think there's about 7 shows in the backlog, so it might take me a while to get around to it. But you know, you can jump the queue and go to the very front of the list if you get the God tier, which is $100 a month. So obviously, you know, you only have to pay once and then get your show on the list. You don't have to keep paying every month. It's just that that's how, like, you can only choose one. You can't choose it like per tier thing. So it will be like on a pay monthly thing. But if you just want, you know, to pay the for the one show and then, you know, take away from the get, like, you know, change your tier to like early access, or just take it off completely, then your show will remain there and it will get reacted to. So yeah, it's $100 and that'll put your show at the very front. The only rules on those on the elite tier and the God tier are that the show must be 150 episodes or less, and it must be a show that I've never seen before. And also, yeah, they're both accumulative. So obviously you don't have to pay every month, but if you do, then every time you pay, you get a choice of a show. So if you pay for the first month, you get your show on there. Second month comes along, you pay again, and you get another choice of a show. Yeah. But that was it. So thank you everyone for watching. Bye bye.